What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another movie review. Today I am talking about 2024's Wicked from director Jon M. Chu, starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Oof! This movie, although I'm not necessarily a musical guy, right? And I'm not going to have the nicest of things to say. I will say that this movie is tremendous. It's shot very well. Jon M. Chu really knows what he's doing cinematography-wise, right? Like, in really bringing what would have been a great stage performance to life on screen in a way that a stage performance just could not have ever done. Unlike Joker 2, right? The only musicals I've seen this year are this and Joker 2. Joker 2 advertised itself as, oh, we're not a musical. Totally is. Everyone hated it. It's now out streaming on Max. I rewatched it the day after I watched Wicked just to make sure that it wasn't just my experience in the theater, because same thing happened in both showtimes. They started singing and I couldn't necessarily make out while I'm sitting in the theater notes. I was like, I can hear it, but I'm not hearing exactly what they're saying. I'm just kind of like in Wicked. Within the first 10-15 minutes, I leaned over to my mother next to me and was like, subtitles would go a long way for me right now. And you know, being able to hear, but also read what Ariana was saying. Because to me, most of the movie, whenever she was singing, just sounded like, right? Like, does everything have to be a high note? I mean, I love The Wizard of Oz. I don't remember The Wizard of Oz being just a plethora of high notes. You know what I mean? Like, it was catchy songs like that would be an earworm in your head for the rest of the evening. You know, we're up to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You know, like, it wasn't, you know, like way up, like notes that are so high. Like, I needed more low and way less high, but it seemed to me like every note that they hit was high. And maybe that was just Glinda's character, right? Like, because Ariana Grande was the only thing that really was like too much for me in this movie, but it might have just been that her character was too much. Like, Glinda is too much. Is that her fault, or did she play her character to perfection? Either way, it didn't really work for me. Although I do like her as Glinda, and I think it was perfectly cast. I don't think anyone else I would have wanted to play that role. I think she did phenomenal. But this movie, to me, really comes down to the cast being phenomenal. The story's pretty damn good. But Cynthia frickin' Erivo crushes. Absolute showstopper. They painted this black woman green. She put her little dots on her face, and she fucking crushed. Dude, she's so fucking good. Like, even if you're not a musical guy, you can go to this and watch this entire 2-hour and 40-minute freaking movie, which is a touch long, but it's alright, just for Cynthia Erivo, right? And that final shot, like the final scene of her defying gravity, right? Like, there's a few songs that are actually really good. But still, like, even the note, like, I have, like, just my one gripe with it is it doesn't make sense to me. Like, her, sure, it's epic. You hear it and you go, wow, she can sing her ass off. But then, watching it as a movie, you're like, so what's the point of all these high notes? They're not doing anything to progress the story. You're just prolonging the runtime, right? Like, her holding the high note for 3 seconds rather than 15 doesn't change the story to me at all. You know, and maybe that's just me. I think this could have been a 2:20, 2.5-hour movie, and you just tighten it up just a little bit, and it would have been a 5-star movie to me, you know? But because of the runtime, I felt, because Ariana Grande I didn't love, you know, those are my gripes with it. Jeff Goldblum is a great Oz. The visuals in Emerald City were pretty awesome. Like, the actual robot head that they have for him is great. I couldn't believe Madame Morble, friggin' Michelle Yeoh. Oh. Michelle Yeoh, by the end of this movie, you're like, oof, I don't like her at all. She's terrible. I mean, I thought she was gonna be cool, but yeah. And, you know, spoilers that I learned for Wicked Part 2, or what will now be named Wicked for good. So what was Wicked Part 2 is now named Wicked for Good. Coming November 21st of 2025. So we're already less than a year out to Wicked 2. And I think that's because they shot Part 1 and Part 2 back to back. And I believe John Chu is just, or John M. Chu. I just watched his interview the other day, Directors on Directors, which I think is Variety or something like that. But it was him and Sean Levy talking, the guy that did Deadpool and Wolverine and Wicked. And you wouldn't think how much those two movies kind of coexist, because one's a musical, one's a Marvel number, but two ginormous movies, and like just the way that they were able to bounce off each other as creatives and creative minds was fascinating. But Wicked for Good, I will be 100% seeing, because this movie made me interested enough to see what happens in Part 2. And people that have seen the stage play know what will happen in Part 2. But I still think it makes it worthy enough that you're like, hey, it doesn't ruin the movie for me, even if I do know what's going to happen. So brief spoilers if you don't want to know what happens. But Fiyero, Bach, and the Lion, I think, come back for the next Part 2, and they kind of have this more of a, you know, Wizard of Oz type of movie for Part 2. And I'm not sure how they get from here to there to, you know, the Wizard of Oz and them being that type of thing. But I'm fascinated to see Jonathan Bailey's Fiyero come back. I know Peter Dinklage's Mr. Dillerman, the friggin' little goat. I never felt so bad for a damn goat in my life. I was like, damn, these talking animals should be teachers and around more. Why is the Courage the Cowardly Lion the only talking animal we see? And why are the flying monkeys flying, right? Like that answered, right? Like this Wicked, if it did anything, it made you ask yourself so many questions about what you thought the Wizard of Oz was, right? Like, it just flips it all on its head. It's like, oh wait, the Wizard of Oz, the flying monkeys were actually just Elphaba, or the Wicked Witch's friends. Glinda the Good Witch was actually the bad witch. The wizard is, of course, always been a fraud and a liar. We've known that since the Wizard of Oz, but what's the deal? What's the deal, man? Is Glinda really the villain here? Like, what a piece of shit. She lets her friend head off into the West to become the Wicked Witch of the West. She doesn't fly off after. Not necessarily she knows how to, but hey, what the fuck? Poor Elphaba. Team Elphaba all the way, though. I'm Team Green, and I don't even necessarily like the color green unless it's on my Boston Celtics, but hey, it is what it is. Overall, I gave this movie 4 out of 5 stars. Just on pure quality of movie, it's a 4 out of 5 stars at least. I didn't necessarily love it or like it, so I felt like a 4 out of 5 stars was a good, solid, respectable score for the quality and the respect that this movie deserves. But it also can reflect that I might have disliked some things and they could have done a little bit more to win me over. You know, so it's not necessarily a 5 out of 5, it's not a 9, but an 8 out of 10, a 4 out of 5. Comment below your score that you would give this movie out of 5 stars, or whatever your ranking system is. You can follow me on my other social medias down in the description below. You can follow my Letterboxd. Check out all my movie reviews from this year. Big Cam, 2Gs in the Big, pretty much anywhere. If you would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is by liking this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already. That goes a long way, you guys have no idea. Hitting that bell so you don't miss future videos and you get the notifications. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. I hope you guys enjoyed Wicked. If you haven't, it definitely deserves a showing in the theater before 2025 is out and it comes out of theaters. But once it is streaming, I will 100% be watching this a second time with subtitles, because I think I need it, and it might reflect my score in a different way. But we'll chat about this again in the future when I get a second watch under my belt. But as far as one time through, I thought it was a great movie, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on Wicked down in the comment section below, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace!